Okay, my friends, welcome back to part two. Looking quite nice so far. I'm going to carry on and I'm going to work away on the stones, maybe do another little bit on this. And in part three, I think we'll just focus on these rocks, just in the middle, and we can take our time and finish all our highlights and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about that idea? So let me just fill my palette here now with new, fresh colour. Everything is still wet. It's all the same. Nothing has changed. So let me just see what colours I need. I am going to need some blue. I just use little bits of colour at a time. There's no point in putting huge amounts of colour on the palette because it just goes to waste, doesn't it, when it's finished. So I just use little bits at a time as I need. Okay, that's it. Right, I'm just first looking back at the painting. I kind of stood back for a while, took a look. What I want to do is add a little bit of darkness to some of these ripples up top. So let me just check now. I want to check everything is recording. Okay. Now, I want to mix a nice dark colour. I'm going to go with phaylo blue, a little burnt umber, and a little cadmium yellow. It's a very blacky green. Okay. I just want to add a little kind of colour through some of these, and I'm kind of softening it through then slightly. It's really just to add some depth into the painting, that's all. With these ripples, if you look closely at a photograph of ripples, you'll notice around the outside edges and stuff like that, you get these dark lines, these dark little pieces just like that. They're always around the edges, and you get some lights as well. So I just wanted to pop a few of those in, just to define the ripple a little bit more. Does that make sense? It's just around the edges. Now, you don't have to do too much of this, but I find it does help. It gives it a little bit more shape, that's all. You see what I mean? Just a little bit here and there. You don't have to go crazy with all of this now. You don't have to go crazy. Just a tiny amount is all you need. I could put some around here too, look. Like that. You see the way that just sort of, it helps it just jump from the canvas a little bit. These small little changes, they make such a big difference in your painting. So I would certainly try some of these and see what you think. So I'm just going to pop a few here and there, that's all. You don't have to go over the top again, do you know what I mean? It's just a few. I just want to define one or two areas, that's all. And I probably will do the same with some of the lighter ones as well. Maybe some bits of white or something like that, just around some of the edges. But yeah, look, that's good. I'll leave it at that. I can add more ripples later on. There's no rush. We can, you can add bits and pieces as you're going along. You don't have to try and get it all done at once. Let me bring another one down here, look. I just want to join a few of them. Okay, I just want to join one or two of them, that's all. Moving on to our rocks. I'm going to continue on with the rocks. And again, I'm getting the basic shapes in. Then we'll work on, darks and lights and all that kind of thing. So let's take a look. I'm going to get some nice, I'm thinking reddy brown. Something like that. Let's take some cadmium red and some burnt sienna. And a touch of burnt umber. And I just want to pop a couple of these in between as well. Here and there. You can mix the colour up a little bit, add a bit of naples yellow to one or two of them. All that kind of thing. With this type of a painting, you can just make it what you want. And you can do it how you please. There's no rules. You can add as many rocks as you like into this. Just, I'll be honest, I'm not even looking at the reference photograph now, hardly from here on. I'm just putting my own take on a lot of these. I just basically want to concentrate on filling in the gaps, so to speak. That's all, filling in the gaps. See, I'm going to put a hint of Naples yellow on the odd one here and there, just to create a little light, you see. A little bit of Naples yellow is nice. It just catches the eye. And a little bit around here. Again, we will be softening all of these together, so not to worry, we don't have to go overboard too soon. So just take your time, add little bits here and little bits there. I'm using paint just on its own, by the way. I'm going to get some cadmium yellow. Pop a little cadmium yellow in here and there as well. I noticed there is a lot of ochres in this as well, isn't there? So what I'll do is take some cadmium yellow with some cadmium red. And that's just kind of mixing together with all different colours on my palette. And I'm just going to go down and add some lighter shades to some of these. This kind of work really, it's difficult to explain what you're doing. It's one of these types of paintings where it's very spontaneous. You change as you go. You add colours, you take colours out. It's that kind of a painting. Do you know what I mean? Let's get some nice rich orange in here. Just here and there. Look, a little bit of orangey colour, bit of sienna. Do you know? You're adding colours in. It's basically just filling in the gaps with different colour. That's all it is. You know, you can be as finicky as you like with something like this. You can go all out and put loads of detail into it, or you can just take your time and have some fun. So you can see how all the colours now are they're kind of slowly coming out, aren't they? Let's get some more cadmium yellow. And by the way, I'm not trying to copy the colours on the photograph at all. I'm kind of just going my own, all right? But you can, if you like, obviously, put your own colours in there. The thing about this kind of work is it's always the final details that stand out. So for instance, like this, the highlights and the darks, they're what really stand out in the end for me. Because, you know, you can take as long as you want doing rocks like this, but it's not until you get to the highlights that everything just kind of, you know, falls into place and everything takes shape. It's always those final highlights and darks, I find, that bring a painting together. Always. Now I'm going to start getting some nice purpley ones in there. Take some magenta, phaylo blue, get a bit of white. You could try some cadmium red as well. And get some nice purpley ones in there, because in under the water they're going to be a different colour. They're going to be kind of, a grey will be like a soft purple in under the water, if you know what I mean. So you can just pop a few small ones in here and there as well. I'm just creating some shape. That's all I'm doing now at this moment. Creating a little shape. Getting some shapes in, so to speak. And we can put, you know, a couple of small, round, pebbly ones here and there. Get some black. You can pop some black in there as well. Now, with the black and a little bit of blue, I'm going to just focus in on some more shadows on these. Because I find the trick with painting rocks like this underwater, and rocks in general, is each rock has its own shadow. So don't forget to put a little shadow and a highlight on each rock. That will make them kind of realistic looking. Do you understand what I mean by that? So just, even if you want, you could paint each rock separately. And, you know, just say to yourself, each rock is separate. Each one is going to have a small bit of a dark spot and a little bit of a light spot. Each one will be completely different in that sense. So for instance, over here, look, you can put some sienna into this one as well. And give this one a nice, real, warm, dark here, look. And then I'm just kind of flicking the brush around and mixing it as it comes up. You see what I mean? Let's get some more sienna in here and there. Another good tip is to use your finger. You can dab shades together with your finger as well. That gives it a nice rough texture, look. Or a cotton bud, or even a bit of tissue paper or something like that. Anything at all. It's only just one fingertip. It's not going to cause you too much harm. And just go around and just sort of dab colours together. See what I mean? It creates a lovely texture on the rock. Again, back in with the black, a little bit of blue. I want to pop a little dark around some of these here. I'm going to take it that the light is coming from up on the high left hand side. So I'm going to make all my shadows down on the bottom right. That makes sense. It just to give it some direction in light. Does that make sense? Let's put a nice dark in under here. Now this is really the very rough kind of brushwork I'm doing. I will be getting a pointy brush in a moment and, you know, going with a pointy brush, doing a lot of little bits of details as well. So not to worry. This is all the very early stages. Okay, so you can see it's starting to come to life a little bit, isn't it? I'll just soften some of these in. And also, when I was thinking about doing this tutorial, I was looking at the reference photograph and I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to put as many rocks in as there are on the photograph, because if I was to do that, I could be here for hours. So just for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm not going to put a huge amount of rocks into the painting, okay? I just thought I'd say that to you first. So look, with a small pointy brush and some black, we can just kind of go around and create some very rough kind of lines on some of these rocks. It's really just to give, I won't say detail, but just to really show the darks standing out a bit better on these. You see what I mean? I'm just kind of squiggling the brush around, making lots of little squiggly lines. Remember, we're going to be softening a lot of this away. It's under the water, so you're not going to see too much detail in these, so to speak, because they're hidden under the water. So, you know, it's just really to give them that three-dimensional look. That's all it is. So a bit of black and a bit of brown will be fine. And then we'll start doing some highlights. The highlights are when everything really kind of starts jumping out at you, I find. So let's just keep going along like this, painting a few little rocks. Now we do the highlights. Now we have a couple of rocks as well that's kind of poking above the water. I'm going to try that in a moment. First, I just want to get some nice highlights on some of these. Some orangey highlights. Just take some cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and a little white. Lots of thick paint. And I just want to try and get some nice bright highlights on some of these. And you will have to keep cleaning your brush for this as well. here, give it a little light. It's only a very kind of a general highlight underwater. So again, you have to keep telling yourself it's underwater, it's underwater. You know, it's going to be faded. You're not going to see the colours very well. So just keep telling yourself that. Let's try a bit of burnt sienna for a change with some red. Pop some of that kind of colour on there as well. Because there's a lot of yellow under here, isn't there? A lot of yellowy colour. Okay, that's coming on quite nice, isn't it? I'll try something pinky for this one over here. And with this type of painting, it's a lot of experimenting as well. You can, you know, learning about different brush strokes, all that kind of thing. So it's nice for just that reason alone. You can experiment with colours and trying different things, because at the moment I'm just trying something to see if it works. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. But I think it's nice to try. Because what I say is, if you never try, you're never going to know, are you? So it's nice to just try a few every now and then. Let's get a little blue and some white. And pop some nice bright ones on some of these greeny kind of ones down here. Some nice bright highlights on some of those. And at this stage, you're going to think it looks quite kind of messy and random. But once we start softening all of these together, you will begin to see everything coming to life. So I generally work like this when I'm painting this type of a scene. I put in all my colours, my lights, my darks, my middle tones, all that kind of stuff. And then I pop in, I soften colours together at the very end, and that's when it just kind of makes sense. I'll show you what I mean now in just a sec. So let's get some highlights in, just very rough random highlights. Okay, now I'll stop at that for a moment. I'm going to take my soft brush and I'm going to just go around and soften these together. You can even dab. You can dab with the soft brush, or a normal brush if you like. You can just dab them on. Okay, you see how that softens the texture. But it still keeps some of the detail work, if you know what I mean. Now, I'm going to go across these very gently. I'm going to soften them out. Just very gently. I just want to take away, I want to make them nice and hazy, if you understand what I mean. All right. Next, I am going to take my small flat brush. I'm going to mix up again some light blue, phthalo blue and some white. And what I'm going to do next is try and create that sort of, that hazy effect on top of these. So what I might do is go in around some of these, and I might even cut through some of them as well. Now I'm just trying this to see what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a matter of trying. Now there is one or two I can see that are really popping up out of the water. What I'm going to do for those is simply take some of my light blue with a very fine brush, okay? I want to start with the ripples around the edges first. So I'm going to pick this one here, okay? I'm going to go around like that. All right. And I'm just going to put a few ripples around that. So now it begins to look like it's sitting on top of the water, doesn't it? And these are only the light ripples. When the dark ones go in, it's going to look completely different. I'm going to do that as well over on the other side. Now I need plenty of thinners in this, okay? I'm going to pick a point on top of one of these rocks where there's going to be a rock sticking out. And I'm going to go around like that. And again, another one outside. And this might be easier to do if you let the painting dry, okay? It's quite difficult when it's wet because everything gets very sort of messy, as you know. I'm going to put another one around here, a big one. So we have a big rock sticking up down here, and we're going to have ripples coming off of the rock, okay? So these are just the ripples now. I'll paint the rocks then in nice, crisp, sharp colours. And that will make the faded ones go back into the water, okay? So I'm just painting the ripples first so I know where the rocks can be. I'm going to put another one down here, under, let's say around here. Like that. So I think it's beginning to look like the rocks are going to be on top, looking at this. Now, as I said, it's quite difficult when it's wet on wet. So to make it easier for you, I would suggest leaving all of this dry, okay? But I just like doing the wet on wet. And I'm just simply popping in wherever I see these little, only little circular lines of colour really, that's all they are. Now we're going to have some dark ones in between those. This is where it really becomes interesting. You'll start seeing these now come to life, okay? Let's get some phaylo blue and some black. Now, we have some darks in between these. You do need lots of thinners in this. That's one thing I've learned, because all these colours want to mix together immediately. So if you're putting on a dark blue, it could end up a dark green, for example. So that's why I would say to you, let this all dry first. I'm going to come over here. We have a nice one coming in here, like that. And we have another one coming around. So it's just a case of working away like this until you feel you're happy, really, I suppose. And this will take some time. This is not something you're going to get right first time, you know. It may even not go right for me this time, but I still wanted to try it. So now I'm going to paint these big rocks that are sticking out of this. I didn't copy the reference photograph perfectly exactly, okay? That's all right, you don't have to. I'm going to start with a nice kind of burnt sienna with cadmium yellow type of a one down here. Now, so we have this one here. It goes around like this. Okay, fill it in. And then what I'm going to do is try a palette knife. Let's get the palette knife working, shall we? See if we can get this nice and crisp on the canvas, okay? Let's just go like this. I picked up a bit of black by accident. What harm? Okay. So anything above the water will be nice and sharp and crisp and rough. And anything below the water will be faded. All right. I get some burnt sienna. Pop a little bit of burnt sienna in here. I'm also going to take some white with cadmium yellow. I'm just going to put a very bright spot around the edge, top edge, just for a nice bright highlight. And then maybe a nice dark shadow down at the bottom end. And try and soften it in. Just do your best. Okay, let's move on to another one. Let's go with a black bit of blue over on this one over here. Pop that in. I'm just being careful in general about the shape. Oh, I made a little mistake there. I'm going to drop my palette knife all over my lovely clean trousers. And then I'm going to go with, again, let's just make up a colour. Let's go with this nice sort of Naples yellow burnt sienna colour up on top. Okay, get my small pointy brush, and I'm going to go for some bright whitey blue. And I'm going to pop some of that up here. And again, as I was saying, this would be much easier if you let the painting dry, okay? Because it does tend to get quite messy, I'll be honest. So for that reason, you know, just let it dry. And then just continue on after that. Might put a little bit of that blue up here as well. Okay. Now I still have a long way to go, believe me. I have a very long way to go on all of this. You know, it takes a lot of time, these types of paintings. I apologize if it's taking too long, but this is something I really wanted to show you, even to see if I could even just help you in your endeavors, you know, try and help you make sense of it all a little bit easier. I hope I have kind of helped a little bit, but that's what I wanted to do, just try and help a little bit. I'll put some black down here. It needs to be nice and dark down there, doesn't it? And we'll soften it upwards. There we go. I'm also going to take some more of that black, put some black down around here. Now, we have another one in here. We're going to go with a smaller brush this time. We try a smaller brush, it might give us more control, wouldn't it? Let's get some Naples yellow, maybe a touch of cadmium red. And let's just go like that. Then we just grab some Naples yellow on its own. You see, the problem with the wet into wet is the colours, they mix together very quickly, don't they? And it's very difficult to get very solid shapes, I find. It can be quite difficult. So that's why I tend to put on a lot of paint when I'm working wet on wet at the last stage, so to speak. I like to put on a lot. Okay, let's get some more burnt sienna on this. And then just black, I think, on its own. Just along here. Gradually let that get bigger as it goes up. Now, a bit down here as well. And there. I'm just kind of doodling now at the moment, which is probably not the best way to do it, but it's all right. You can doodle a little bit. There's no rules to say you can't. Okay, I need to soften these a little bit, look. Just a tad. Because they need to be a little more smooth, don't they? Just going to make them a little bit smoother. There. Now, again, I'm going to go straight in and get some white, okay? And what I'm going to do, put some bits of white here and there. Just add little touches of glitter on some of these. So let's say, for instance, let's go around here, a bit of white there. going to put more little bits of highlight around these. Now I will probably let a lot of this dry. Because it is getting quite, I won't say messy, but it gets difficult to control your colours when it gets too wet. Do you understand what I mean? Just gets a little difficult. I need to put one or two now just around here as well. And a couple up around here. You see, I'm working very loosely now in this, only because I just want to give you a sort of an impressionistic tutorial. I could sit here for hours and hours and go into lots of detail, but I think you might find it difficult to concentrate, you know what I mean, and stay ahead with it. So that's why I'm not tending to take too long at something. I just want to kind of, go ahead quickly just to show you a general idea of, what you can do to create rocks underwater. So it's just, it's just a general. Okay, let me have a look around there now. That's that one done. I am going to come up here. I'm going to swing that one around. And bring it down here. Okay. Like that. And I'm going to try and create a little bit of movement in the water itself as well, okay? So here I come around. And then let's go over here. So all these little movements, you see, they're pushing the rocks underwater, just around these. So here, for example, you can come off of this one, come around and back. Okay? I'm just about ready to start my big section in the middle. Once I'm finished that, then I'll kind of know then after that what I need to change down here. Okay? So I think that's what I need to do. Put a couple of ripples through here. All these small ripples now going through these rocks will help push them down. Push them under the water. Okay, now I'm going to stop at that just for a minute. And I'm going to, again, soften some of these under the water, okay? Just want to soften some of them out. Now, of course, there are many different types of paintings where you have rocks underwater. A stream or a lake with some trees and some rocks showing through, that would be a different technique again. But for a close-up kind of impression, this is what I would do if I was trying to get a close-up impression of just rocks under the water and kind of some popping up here and there. I just really need to get some rich colour on some of them. I think it's lacking a bit of a spark, I think. So let me just get some rich, bright orange. I'm going to try and just get a splash of colour on some of them. Do you know what I mean? It's missing that kind of spark, that bright hint of colour. And I think if I do that, it will really catch the eye. I'll put a little bit over here as well, look. And then I'm thinking a bit of cadmium yellow and some white. And maybe a touch of cadmium red. I'm just going to go for a very bright colour. And it doesn't matter if your paint is sticking right up off of the canvas and it's nice and thick, that's okay. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. I might put another one here, look. You can take some in or put some out, it's completely up to yourself, really. Now, my friends, I am calling that part 2 finished. And I will start working on all of these little ones in here. But what I could do for now, actually, is just start filling in some of the spaces in between. So, for instance, let's say around here, look, you can fill in some of the dark spaces in between some of these. With some of that dark colour. And take a bit of white, soften a bit of white in there as well. But not to worry, I will, when this is finished, I will go around and add more detail into all of this, okay? Especially down around the bottom here. I will add plenty of details in here later. So don't worry thinking this is the finished product. It's not. As I said, we've plenty of time. We can take our time. There's no rush. If I have to do 4 separate parts of this tutorial, then so be it. But I really want to take my time and do this right. And give you a good kind of a painting lesson, so to speak. So what I'm going to do finally is take some light, let's get some white. Just want to put a little bit of white around some of these. Okay, just little bits. Just to kind of bring it all in together. And I might add 1 or 2 bits up here. Now Now that did go a little bit thick there, didn't it? But it's okay. At the end of the day, it is just a painting. And I prefer my paintings to look like a painting rather than a photograph. Because if you want a photograph, just take a photograph. I want my paintings to look like they were painted. And, you know, I don't want to look like a mirror image of a photograph. I just don't like that style. It's too forced, it's too restrictive. Okay, my friends, I'm going to call this part 2 finished. One thing I might add, just one final thing I might add, is a little bit of green into this section here, just to bring it, tie it together. And then I'll just soften. Just for now, okay? And we can continue on and finish these lovely rocks. I'll clean my palette, I'll let some of this dry for a while, and then we'll carry on. We have these nice big rocks to do in the centre, so we're doing pretty well, my friends. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Pretty nice so far. I've a little bit of tidying up to do, but we can do all that later, there's no rush. Let's just get the canvas filled and we'll worry about details later. So I will see you in part 3. I'm looking forward to finishing this. I can't wait to see how it looks. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're enjoying the tutorial so far. Thank you to my patrons for your support. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much. Happy painting, my friends. I'll be right back with part 3.